Google has to pay a fine in Italy over £80 million. It's for blocking an app for electric vehicles. NTD's Patrick Hayden has the story.
Italy's competition regulator has fined Google $123 million. That's for excluding Enel's e-mobility app from the Android system. For more than 2 years, Google has not allowed Enel's Juice Pass app to operate on Android Auto. The app is for finding and booking EV charging stations. The regulator says Google blocked it in favor of Google Maps. It says the contested behavior can influence the development of e-mobility in a crucial phase, and that has a negative effect on the growth of electric vehicles. Google has now been ordered to put Juice Pass on Android Auto. Google says it respectfully disagrees with the antitrust regulator's decision and is considering next steps. Patrick Hayden, NTD News, London.
US Secretary of State Antony Blinken on Wednesday released the State Department's annual report on international religious freedom. Blinken announced a visa ban on a Chinese official and his family for persecuting practitioners of the spiritual discipline Falun Gong.
The State Department reports annually on religious freedom around the world. Secretary Antony Blinken hit on several key countries, including China.
And China broadly criminalizes religious expression and continues to commit crimes against humanity and genocide against Muslim Uyghurs and members of other religious and ethnic minority groups.
The report's China section is 136 pages. It details China's persecution of a range of religions, including the spiritual practice Falun Gong. Blinken announced new sanctions on a Chinese official who previously headed Chengdu's 610 office. That's the communist regime's agency solely dedicated to persecuting Falun Gong practitioners.
Today, I'm announcing the designation of Yu Wei, former office director of the so-called Central Leading Group Preventing and Dealing with Heretical Religions of Chengdu, for his involvement in gross violations of human rights, namely the arbitrary detention of Falun Gong practitioners.
Yu Hui and his family can no longer enter the United States.
It sends them the signal that we're not going to let them get away with this war on faith.
I think this sends a strong signal to those CCP officials in China that the persecution of Falun Gong is not only illegal, it will be penalized internationally, and the international society is watching.
The State Department cites data from Minghui, a U.S.-based website dedicated to reporting on this persecution. The government report says Chinese police arrested over 6,600 Falun Gong practitioners and harassed more than 8,500 practitioners in 2020 for refusing to renounce their faith, compared with 2019, which saw over 6,100 arrested and 3,500 harassed. 83 individuals also died due to persecution. The report also quotes some NGO reports on organ harvesting in China, including the China Tribunal's judgment after an independent inquiry. The tribunal documented evidence of what they concluded is a decades-long and ongoing state-run program of forced organ harvesting from prisoners of conscience, mainly Falun Gong practitioners.
Now we've got credible findings by other entities of organ harvesting happening to Falun Gong members. And these are by outside groups that have reviewed the evidence and said, yes, this is taking place.
The U.S. has designated China a country of particular concern since 1999 under the International Religious Freedom Act for having engaged in or tolerated particularly severe violations of religious freedom.
Communities in Shanghai, China are urging people to get vaccinated, promising money and coupons as compensation. But some are questioning their motives as they reportedly have quotas to fill.
Beijing is pushing for mass vaccinations, but what should be an effort to improve public health is prompting questions about ulterior motives. Some have said China's vaccination numbers have become measuring tools used to judge local authorities' job performance. It's caused chaos, as many in China still question the safety of Chinese-made vaccines. And the situation seems to get even stranger in Shanghai, China's largest megacity. Later last month, posts on social media announced a competition between vaccination staff in different regions of the city. Even vaccination stations located inside the same communities were asked to compete for the highest number of vaccinations. A related notice is circulating in Shanghai's Putuo district. It says groups from another district, Baoshan, were driving buses full of Putuo residents into Baoshan communities to get vaccinated. But it didn't stop there. They even offered a $50 reward for each person willing to go. The notice also added, if you see this type of situation, please immediately call the police. On top of the Baoshan district stealing vaccine patients from other districts, communities inside the Baoshan district are also competing with each other. One netizen described an example of this online. He talked about his friend, who was at first meant to receive the vaccine from his company. But instead, a bus came and took them to a different station in Luodian. What's more, a Shanghai resident told us that people in her area are paid to get the vaccine.
If you take the vaccine as a member from our company, we will pay you $80. If you take the vaccine using my ID, I will pay you a certain amount. It's like this.
Miss Lee also described another practice, schools vaccinating students without notifying their parents.
These poor kids, they don't know to fight back and can only listen to their teachers. Teachers say it's all right and notify parents only after they give students the shot.
Another Shanghai local says in order to meet their vaccination quotas, community staff members have to compete for vaccine patients.
They may try all sorts of ways to attract people in order to meet their quota. I heard some give out free eggs and give out all kinds of coupons.
The situation has become so crazed that Mr. Zhang told the Epoch Times that the vaccination quota has become political. He described a recent conversation he had with a local policeman.
The policemen, those insiders, vaccination is a political mission for them. They have to take it. Policemen and public servants, these people are forced to take the vaccine.
But the chaos has sparked doubt over the safety of the vaccines. Some have suggested the regime's huge push for Chinese vaccines may reflect quality problems.
France is approving a COVID-19 vaccine passport, but some are criticizing the measure. They say it will be an intrusion into people's life and create division between vaccinated and unvaccinated people. NTD's France correspondent David Vivez has the story.
Shops, bars and restaurants are preparing to reopen on May 19th, and lockdown restrictions will be progressively lifted. But one measure will replace the others. It is called the Health Pass. It's also known as the Green Pass in other countries. It will prove a person has either been vaccinated, tested negative for the virus, or is recovering from COVID-19. This follows a decision from the EU.
The Commission is proposing to ease restrictions on non-essential travel to the EU to take into account the progress of vaccination campaigns.
This measure is seen as a key tool to save tourism season, but it's still uncertain how the different European countries will implement it, and it's a question how far-reaching the passes will be. For example, France will follow Israel's lead, where the pass not only works to cross borders, but also to entering shops or venues. Psychiatrist Marie-Estelle Dupont worries it could lead to discrimination.
As we know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Some say this is the only way to get back to normal life. But this is how discrimination starts, by telling us, you are vaccinated, you can enter, you're not, you're out.
Dupont also says this is a major change to normal life.
This is an intrusion of the state in the people's life and their intimacy. Instead of Big Brother, we now have a big nanny watching us. I think it is very dangerous.
The UK has also raised similar concerns that the vaccine passports could lead to discrimination. David Vives, NTD News, Paris.
A Paris zoo is preparing to welcome visitors for the first time since October. The animals there have spent months interacting solely with their zookeepers. The Paris Zoological Park is scheduled to reopen on 19th of May with limits on visitor numbers. A baby tapir was born last November. It's the first birth of the species in the zoo since 1987. Other new residents include baboons, Humboldt penguins, and flamingos. The reopening comes as France slowly unwinds from its third national lockdown. A farmer recently moved a stone on his land in the town of Erquelins to a more convenient spot. But the stone he moved was one of those that marked the border between France and Belgium. The stone markers were placed there in 1819 after Napoleon's defeat. With this small change, the farmer added about 1,000 square meters of French land to Belgium. Luckily, French and Belgian officials saw the humor in the situation. The town's mayor says they will put the stone and the border back where it belongs. That's the news for today, and thanks for tuning in. I'm Stuart Lees.